So here's how Himalayan balsam spreads. These little seed pods here develop. Later on they'll swell and explode, releasing hundreds of seeds into the stream at the top of the catchment, and these will just continue downstream and keep on growing Himalayan balsam all the way down the catchment. This stand of Himalayan balsam is causing trouble in this village, blocking this culvert. So instead of the floodwatering going safely away, they end up pouring out here onto the road and down the hill there.
There are many reasons why we need to get involved in invasive species management. Economic ones, environmental ones, but often it's the regulatory environment that drives things. Cabby did some research recently which revealed the costs to the GB economy of invasive species at £1.56 billion a year. And those costs are made up of many different species. Japanese knotweed was probably the biggest plant, but Himalayan balsam, floating pennywort, other species like that contributed significantly to that annual cost. And biological control should be a means of bringing that annual cost down to the economy. There's a multitude of reasons why a non-native species might be introduced. They're attractive, they come through the aquarium trade, people like them, people want to grow them. They can come in accidentally as contaminants of other material, or they can find their own way on shipping or passengers' luggage. The important thing is they're not supposed to be here, and they've bridged a geographical barrier that used to keep them separated from the new environment. The problem with Himalayan balsam is it's a very large-scale invader, and it's that scale that makes it so difficult to control using traditional methods. Biocontrol is the use of natural enemies from the area of origin of the target pest or weed that are used after a single release to provide permanent control of the target species.
Himalayan balsam in the UK is a non-native invasive species. It's an annual species which originally comes from the Indian and Pakistani Himalayas. It grows along riverbanks throughout the UK. In England and Wales, it's recorded to occupy 13% of our rivers. Himalayan balsam reproduces by seeds, which are projected from the seed pod when the plant and the seed pods ripen. Each seed pod contains around 10 to 15 seeds, and these seeds can be projected up to 7 meters away from the parent plant. As an annual species, Himalayan balsam will die down in the winter and leave the banks bare of any supporting vegetation on river systems. This is obviously damaging because it can increase the amount of erosion going into rivers and also increase flooding, as the dead plant material that becomes incorporated into the river can block up drains, block up small rivers and streams, and therefore increase the potential for flooding as well.
Himalayan balsam is not just a problem in the UK, it's quite a big problem in many mainland European countries. Interestingly, it's also a problem in North America and certain parts of New Zealand. We have received some funding from North America to kind of piggyback our UK biological control program. Many of the test plants associated with the UK are also relevant to North America.
The test plant list is a list of plants that is compiled by choosing plants which are related to the target plant or found in a similar habitat or economically important. The test plant list consists of 75 plants, including Himalayan balsam, and around half of them are Impatian species due to their high horticultural value. After selecting the test plant list, we'll then source the plants from suppliers or from native populations. We grow them here in this greenhouse in a pest-free environment, and then we take them up to test against the biological control agent in quarantine.
In the UK, we have two species of balsam that are both invasive and been introduced from Asia. This is small balsam, and both this plant and Himalayan balsam that we are targeting for biological control have a rust that infects it. The first spore stage is the Uridinea spores. These infect the leaves, and it's the spore stage that cycles repeatedly during the growing season of the plant and causes the damage to the leaves that reduces the amount of seed that a plant can produce. As the season gets into autumn, the Uridinea spores start to change into Telia spores. These spores stay in the leaves as they fall off the plants and go into the leaf litter. They are dark and thick-walled and able to survive the winter, the snows and the rains. In the spring, when the snows melt and the temperatures start to rise, the seeds start to germinate, and as they germinate, the Telia spores produce basidius spores. The basidius spores are pinged off the Telia spores and land on the germinated seedlings. There they infect the stem and spermatia are formed. These spermatia cross with other spermatia, and this is the stage where new genetic forms are produced. From the mated spermatia, the next spore stage is produced, the esiospores. From these esiospore infections, the Uridinea are produced again and the life cycle is complete. The whole concept of classical biological control is that you select natural enemies, in this case a rust pathogen, that are specific to the plant you're trying to control, and you check that over and over again. Our programs last for maybe 5 or 6 years while we're testing all these species, and nothing is released into the environment that isn't safe.
Invasive non-native species are one of the 5 greatest threats to biodiversity globally, and so it's really important that people understand the threat that invasive non-native species pose to our natural world. 2/3 of the non-native species in Great Britain are plants, and some of them have an impact, and those impacts again can be quite far-reaching. So they might affect the soil structure, for instance, or they might upset the dynamics of the insects that interact with the native flora. The interactions between invasive non-native species and other species are really complex, and it takes an awful lot to unravel them in any kind of detail. And certainly for Himalayan balsam, there are a number of studies showing that perhaps the flowers are beneficial for pollinating insects, but equally they could be causing the pollinating insects to be drawn into the Himalayan balsam, and therefore they're not spending the time pollinating other plants in the wider countryside.
Doing nothing is not really an option. If we do nothing, we're just going to see an increased spread of Himalayan balsam along our rivers. CABI has over 100 years of experience in weed biological control, and we've really applied this to the Himalayan balsam project. Over time, once we've released the rust, what we will see is the restoration of the natural community, and Himalayan balsam will just become a benign component of the ecosystem here in the UK.
Here you can see that I've collected some Himalayan balsam seeds. The ones that are black are ripe, and those are the ones that I need, and I need to collect 200 of these.